Hi and welcome back. I'm your host, Attorney Michael Potter. And in this segment, we're examining why you should use a retirement trust as the beneficiary of your IRA or any other tax-deferred retirement plan. Now, you may not have heard of a standalone IRA retirement inheritance trust before. That's okay. You're going to be hearing a lot more about them in the years to come, because as the rules change, we want to take advantage of them to the extent we can get a favorable outcome. So the use of a retirement trust, a standalone retirement trust, allows you to protect the assets and to protect the beneficiaries for as many as 2 generations. It's an awesome way to plan, and I encourage you to ask questions. Why use a trust? Well, certainly it's because the use of a trust, as opposed to just designating a person, allows for that money to be protected in case your beneficiary marries the wrong spouse, or gets involved in a lawsuit, or goes through a divorce, or is a spendthrift. So it is a way to protect the assets inside of the retirement trust from being lost due to bad judgment or mistakes or just bad luck. Now, there are some pretty restrictive rules that apply when it comes to naming a trust as a beneficiary of a retirement plan. And that is why you want to stay away from naming your living trust as a beneficiary. It is much better to use a standalone retirement inheritance trust so that it is entirely separate and it only receives retirement assets. Now, using a retirement trust is going to give you much better control and much better protection for those tax-deferred accounts over a very long period of time. And as I said, if you've got a younger beneficiary and they have a longer life expectancy, then using the trust is going to protect them. It's going to protect the assets from being taken away. It's going to preserve that account over a very long period of time that will give continuing income to your chosen beneficiaries. So let's say that you named your children, or better yet, grandchildren, as beneficiaries of the retirement inheritance trust. Now, the younger they are, the longer their life expectancy, and you can use that to their advantage with your planning using the retirement trust. Now, one of the things that I like about this particular kind of trust is that within the trust document, we can name successor beneficiaries, maybe a second generation, in case the first generation should pass away before the account is fully paid out. And that allows those funds to still be protected even for the second generation. Now, depending on how you arrange the beneficiary designation, if you have a much younger person as the beneficiary, then the distributions will be based upon their age and their life expectancy. And this can be very valuable. And that is why we want to use a retirement trust. Now, the standalone retirement trust can be established with a couple of different options. It can either make distributions as a conduit directly to the beneficiary, or it can accumulate them over a period of time. Either one of those might be advantageous depending upon the situation. So using the accumulation side of the house, the trust could accumulate the distributions that come into it. They would continue to grow in a tax-deferred fashion, and then they could be doled out to the beneficiary under your instructions for specific occasions. For example, a down payment on a home, paying for higher education, maybe a graduate degree, those kinds of things. And that could be very advantageous to your beneficiary while protecting the assets from lawsuits, creditors, and divorce. So instead of the minimum required distributions being paid directly to a person as a beneficiary, instead they would be paid to the retirement trust, the standalone retirement trust, as the beneficiary for the benefit of the people that you want to receive the money. You see the difference? It allows you to specify the terms and conditions, and the trust itself doesn't have the same disadvantages that an individual would have. It gives you a much more favorable outcome. So let's look at an example to see how this functionally works. Now, in the graphic that you see in the slide, an IRA account owner has 3 children, Peter, Paul, and Mary. And he has 4 grandchildren, John, Paul, George, and Ringo. And in this case, where one of the beneficiaries doesn't have any children, then in the event that beneficiary dies, it passes down to the siblings and then passes down to the grandchildren. It's a great way to protect those assets using a standalone retirement inheritance trust. Well, I've given you a lot to think about, huh? And I want to encourage you to contact myself or my staff. We're here to help you. This is based on federal tax law, and we will be glad to show you the right path forward. I'm attorney Michael Potter, and I look forward to hearing from you.